Now when we do the next three, they're going to be very similar to what we did here. Only now we're also going to have square roots on the tops sometimes and various other things. So number 7, first of all, they want to get across that if the whole fraction is under the square root, I can rewrite it as the square root of 11 over the square root of 2. I then want to rationalize the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by what did we do on the previous ones?
Okay.
The square root of 2. When it says rationalize the denominator, they want you to make the denominator so it doesn't have that square root anymore, so that's why we make it that perfect square. So we're going to multiply by the square root of 2, both on the top and on the bottom. Now on these ones, since the top is already underneath the square root, now I can multiply. Square root of 11 times the square root of 2 would be square root of 22. And on the bottom, square root of 2 times the square root of 2, square root of 4. Now the top one with 22, I can't simplify it because it doesn't have any factors that are perfect squares. But the bottom, we can make square root of 4 is 2. It's just a nice whole number 2. It's not under the square root anymore. So we get the square root of 22 over 2. Now again on these...
I need to remember that when I do this, I don't find a common denominator for both the numbers. Just the bottom part.
Yeah, you're just doing the bottom. You're working with the denominator. When you type this one into the computer again, you have to be careful because you don't want the square root over the entire fraction like it was on the beginning. You only want the square root over the top. So press the fraction button first and type the top and the bottom in separately. Otherwise you get the square root over the whole thing and you just want the square root over the top. So make yourself a little note, click the fraction button first and then type the top and bottom
Are you
in.
taking this or can I keep this?
You're going to keep that for a while. You'll turn it in eventually.
I'm putting my little notes on here.
Right. Now number 8, again we're rationalizing the denominator. But if you look at that fraction, 5 over 30, what can you do with that?
You can
You can reduce it, right?
Yeah, reduce
and you'd
it.
want to reduce it first so your numbers aren't so big, because you wouldn't want to take the square root of 30 times the square root of 30. You'd have a huge number. So we're going to reduce it first. 5 goes into there once and into there 6 times, right? So now I'm going to have the square root of 1 over the square root of 6. We want to rationalize the denominator, so what are we going to do?
Divide it by 6.
Do what?
Or multiply it by 6.
Multiply it by square root
Oh,
of
square
6,
root.
right? So on the top, square root of 1 times the square root of 6 is
6.
the square root of 6. And on the bottom, square root of 6 times the square root of 6,
36.
square root of 36. Now again on this one we can't simplify the top, but we can simplify the bottom. The bottom's going to be
3.
square root of 36.
Oh, 36?
That's what we got there, right?
Yep, 6.
6. Not under a square root anymore. So the top is under the square root. We have the square root of 6, but the bottom is just the nice plain whole number 6.
I mean, yeah. Just the plain 6.
And that's what they mean by rationalizing the denominator, getting that square root off the bottom number. So, number 9, what should we do with number 9 first?
Well, you can't break it down.
Can't reduce it, you're right.
So, it's going to be square, multiply it by 3.
We're going to multiply it by what?
square root of 3.
Check that again. The 5's on the bottom. That's the one
Oh,
we
yeah.
want to fix. So first of all, I'm going to rewrite it as square root of 3 over the square root of 5. I'm then going to multiply by the square root of 5 to rationalize the denominator. And so on top, I'm going to have
15.
square root of 15.
15.
On the bottom, I'm going to have
25.
square root of 25. I'm then going to simplify that bottom. The square root of 25 is
5.
that nice whole number 5. And so I get the square root of 15 over a plain old 5 for my answer. All right.